There is a fascinating verse in Numbers chapter 21, verse 11. It says, Israel travelled through the wilderness toward the sun rising. Through the wilderness toward the sun rising. Isn't that like your life and mine? Israel travelled 40 years in the desert before they entered the land of milk and honey. The most dedicated person on earth must endure sadness, sorrow, grief and loss, for heaven is theirs. Life is not a picnic for anyone. If life was a picnic, you and I would not be worth knowing. We need the ups and downs, the trials, the losses and the crosses, the disappointments, the broken hearts. We need them, or we would not be worth knowing. There's a wonderful story, the end of John's Gospel, John 21. It talks of the 7 disciples of Jesus going fishing at night, and they toil all night and they catch nothing. They're hungry, they're tired, they're wet, they're disappointed, and suddenly dawn begins to open up on the scene. They see a distant figure on the land, and that figure calls out to them, "Lads, have you caught any food?" They reply with just one monosyllable, "No." "Cast the net on the right side and you will find." So they do that, and the net is miraculously filled with 153 huge fish. This story is a parable about life and death. We have the contrast between the sea and the shore, the night and the day, failure and success, hunger and feasting. For when they reach the shore, Jesus has prepared a meal and he is girded ready to serve them. Dear friend, do you understand this parable? Today we are on the sea of life, very unstable. Nothing seems certain. We think we could be swallowed up any time. Many disappointments, much fatigue. Ultimately, the surf will pound on the shore. That's a symbol of death, dear friends. But if you belong to Christ, if you have believed that he loved you enough to die for you, death has no terrors. Night will give way to morning, everlasting day. The unstable sea will give way to a wonderful shore where the New Jerusalem stands. Hunger will give way to feasting. Revelation 19 promises a wedding feast for all who are redeemed from the grave at the end of time. So important to understand that trouble is temporary for the believer. Every shadow means there's a light somewhere. You remember Peter in prison was led by an angel through gate after gate till they came to a great iron gate. Peter thought, we'll never get through here, but it opened of itself. In Pilgrim's Progress, Christians ascending a hill toward the holy city, and he hears lions. And as he goes on, he sees huge lions barring the path. Then a voice comes to him from Evangelist. The lions are chained. Go on steadily and you will not be hurt. And Christian finds it as even so. These threatening beasts are chained. He can safely pass through on his way to the holy city. There was once an old lady who lived on the eastern side of Edinburgh. She dreaded the last part of the journey to the city, when one went through a very dark tunnel for what seemed forever. So she would leave the train at the station before the tunnel, hire a car, go by car to Edinburgh. But one day she fell asleep just before the station that led to the tunnel. Her friends didn't wake her, and when she woke up, she was in Edinburgh, safe and sound. My friends, that's the way it is with life. If you read all the great classic biographies of people that God has used, they all knew shadows, they all knew trial, they all knew weariness, despair, but they all found glory. God grant that it may be so for you and for me.